There's a particular kind of woman who learned that her job was to keep everyone comfortable, not happy. That's different. Comfortable. Comfortable meant don't rock the boat, don't cause scenes, don't make things tense. It meant absorbing discomfort so others wouldn't have to feel it, softening conflict before it began. Staying quiet when speaking might disturb the peace. If this was you, you learned early that harmony was your responsibility, and you became very, very good at it. Many women were raised to believe that maintaining peace was a virtue. Maybe you grew up in a household where tension felt dangerous, where raised voices meant instability, where conflict was something to avoid at all costs. Or maybe you were just taught, subtly, consistently, that good girls don't cause problems. They smooth them over, they mediate, they adjust. So you learned to read emotional temperature, to sense when things were getting uncomfortable, to intervene before anyone had to sit with tension. When arguments happened, you played translator. When feelings were hurt, you became the bridge. When someone was upset, you found ways to make it better, even if you weren't the one who caused the problem. Silence was framed as maturity, suppression as strength, accommodation as love. But peace that requires your disappearance is not safety. In adult relationships, this conditioning shows up in specific ways. You apologize when you haven't done anything wrong, just to ease tension. You minimize your needs so others won't feel inconvenienced. You agree when you want to say no, just to avoid the discomfort of conflict. You've become so skilled at keeping the peace that you've forgotten what your actual position is, what you actually think, what you actually need, because expressing those things might disturb the harmony, and disturbing the harmony feels like failure. So you adapt, you accommodate, you stay quiet, and everyone around you benefits from your silence while you slowly disappear. The cost of peacekeeping is not just the loss of your voice, though that's significant. It's the belief that your needs are inherently disruptive, that your honesty is a burden, that your presence in its full truth is too much. Over time, you internalize the idea that connection requires your smallness, that love means not making waves, that being wanted means being easy. But real connection doesn't punish honesty. Intimacy doesn't require you to shrink. Partnership doesn't demand that you manage everyone's comfort at the expense of your own clarity. If someone can only be close to you when you're silent, they're not close to you. They're close to the version of you that keeps them comfortable. And that's not intimacy. That's performance. Women who were conditioned as peacekeepers often confuse silence with wisdom, suppression with maturity, accommodation with strength. They think, I'm choosing my battles. I'm being the bigger person. I'm not making a big deal out of nothing. But choosing your battles implies that you sometimes fight. Being the bigger person still requires space for yourself. And not making a big deal doesn't mean accepting what doesn't work for you. The peacekeeper identity convinces you that your discomfort is always negotiable, that speaking up is always aggressive, that having needs is always demanding. But this isn't truth. This is conditioning. And it keeps you in relationships where your silence is required for the dynamic to function. Peacekeepers attract specific dynamics. They attract people who don't want to be challenged, who don't want to be accountable, who don't want to adjust, because why would they? The peacekeeper will adjust instead. These relationships feel stable because there's no visible conflict, but there's no visible conflict because one person has agreed to absorb all the friction. Peacekeepers become experts at managing what should be shared responsibility, at staying quiet about what should be addressed, at making things work by making themselves smaller. And the tragedy is, they're often praised for it. You're so easygoing, you never cause drama, you're so understanding. But what's being celebrated isn't your strength, it's your suppression. What's being valued isn't your peace, it's your silence. There's often a moment when the peacekeeper realizes the peace she's been keeping wasn't peace at all. It was compliance. It was the absence of conflict at the cost of connection, the absence of tension at the expense of truth. Real peace doesn't require one person to disappear. It doesn't demand that someone stay quiet to keep things comfortable. It doesn't punish expression or honesty or needs. Real peace allows for disagreement, for tension, for two people to exist fully and work through discomfort together. But peacekeepers weren't taught that. They were taught to absorb, not express, to manage, not share, to maintain surface harmony at any cost. And eventually, the cost becomes too high. The shift begins when you stop prioritizing comfort over truth, when you stop believing that your role is to manage everyone's emotions, when you stop accepting relationships that require your silence to function. This doesn't mean becoming combative. It doesn't mean creating unnecessary conflict. It doesn't mean punishing people for their discomfort. It means allowing yourself to take up space, to express honestly, to exist without apologizing for it. It means recognizing that you're not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. You're not obligated to stay quiet to keep someone comfortable. You're not required to shrink so someone else doesn't have to adjust. When you stop keeping the peace at your own expense, you don't become difficult. You become self-led. Reclaiming yourself as a peacekeeper means learning to tolerate other people's discomfort, because when you've spent years managing tension, watching someone sit in their own discomfort feels unbearable. Your instinct will be to fix it, to smooth it over, to take responsibility for it. But that instinct is what keeps you small. People are allowed to be uncomfortable with your honesty, with your boundaries, with your needs. Their discomfort is not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's often evidence that you're doing something right, something that interrupts a dynamic that was only working for them. And you're allowed to let them sit in that. You're allowed to speak and not fix the tension that follows. You're allowed to express a need and not apologize for it. You're allowed to exist fully and let people adjust or not. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect. There's a difference between creating peace and keeping it. Creating peace requires two people committed to mutual respect, honest communication, and shared responsibility. Keeping peace often means one person doing all the emotional labor to maintain the illusion of harmony. One is sustainable, the other is exhausting. And if you've been taught that exhausting is your role, you'll keep choosing relationships that require it. But you don't have to. You were never meant to keep everyone comfortable at the expense of yourself. You were never meant to absorb all the tension so others could stay at ease. You were never meant to believe that your voice was a disruption. Harmony that requires your disappearance is not connection, it's control. Real peace allows for your full presence. It makes room for your truth. It doesn't punish you for existing beyond what's convenient for others. And when you stop keeping the peace that was never yours to keep, you create space for something far more meaningful. Relationships where both people can be honest, where discomfort is shared, not absorbed, where your voice isn't a threat, it's valued. That's not disrupting the peace. That's finally experiencing it.